Good afternoon. Welcome to Family Health Matters. I'm your host, Wendy Bridgers, and we are here live in our studio on Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. Happy New Year to everybody. I haven't seen you all since 2022. So happy New Year. So I just want to take a few minutes before we get started with the broadcast and just tell everybody thank you so much for being with us in 2022. I hope that the programs that we presented throughout the year was very helpful to you and your family, and that you learned a lot and that we made a difference in your life. And as we move into 2023, I just want to note this will be moving into 4 years of Family Health Matters. So yay, 4 years. And I would like to invite you to share with us if there's any topics of interest that you want me to specifically discuss here on Family Health Matters. I want you to give the radio station a call at 252-756-3137 and share that information with them. And they will get it to me, and we will make sure that we can do a program concerning what interests you as far as something specific, because I want to make sure that we're reaching the needs of our audience and making sure that our topic, Family Health Matters, is what it is. It's something that matters to you. So we want to make sure we say that. So we're looking forward to hearing your feedback, and also, something of interest, just let us know and I will make it happen. So now I want to welcome back to the studio with us again, one of my favorite people that has been with me over the years, brings to the radio station lots and lots of knowledge and wisdom, and I appreciate her so much, Miss Angie Watson. She is a licensed dietitian. She is certified in diabetes educator, and she is just awesome. So as we begin 2023, I know if you're like me, you've got all these goals, things that you set. And one of the things that I think most of us, or at least I have talked about, was trying to do something health-wise to lose some weight. And in losing weight, you're thinking about all the different diets that you hear about. So today, Angie and I want to talk a little bit about fad diets. These diets that you hear, that some of them are too good to be true. So we want to talk about that and talk about how can we set some goals that are obtainable, some things that we can start 2023 off and finish strong with. So help me welcome Angie Watson back to Awesome Radio 106.9 FM with us today on Family Health Matters. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you, Wendy. I'm so excited to be here.
So glad to have you as well. I'm so glad. So just to jumpstart, I hope you had a good 2022 and brought in 2023 and your family all as well. Yes. So to start off, just tell us a little bit about fad diets and just like an overview of what a fad diet is and how can we recognize one and what should we be concerned about. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let you have that. Talk about the definition and how it works, okay?
Sure. So fad diets, probably the kind of simple definition is a diet or eating plan that really comes and goes, kind of comes into fashion. It's really, really popular for a while and then sort of drops off the scene, sort of like fads with, the fashion industry. And the thing is with these fad diets is lots of times they promise, quick, significant amounts of weight loss. They focus on a certain number of pounds lost. You'll hear lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks and, really large numbers that aren't necessarily healthful. Sometimes it's only eating certain foods or avoiding food groups altogether. And it's interesting. A couple of years ago, I did a little bit of research on fad diets, and they've actually been around for many years. And a lot of people think hundreds of years. So some of the earliest documentation shows that in about 1820, there was something called the vinegar and water diet. And what you see is what you get. It was basically consuming vinegar and water all day, every day for weight loss. There was, as early as 1863, a low carbohydrate diet. That was actually Banting's low carbohydrate diet, and that was connected with diabetes. Banting and Best were those who did research around insulin and diabetes. So that was probably more medical in the treatment of type 1 diabetes, but then people realized that they would lose weight if they followed that. So that was another kind of diet. There was something called a Fletcherizing diet, which involved chewing the food, I'll say a little excessively. So you had to chew every bite 32 times.
Wow.
And that slows down the eating, but it also takes a lot of the pleasure out of eating. So I'm not sure that I would have wanted to try that particular one. There was what's commonly was known as the blubber diet. That came about with the Inuit population, eating, just meat and fat and the blubber of whales, that type of things. There was a cigarette diet. Basically, you smoked instead of eating. That was in 1920. That would not fly nowadays with a lot of regulations. Some more that a little more recent that we probably heard of, things like the grapefruit diet, cabbage soup diet. Those came out in the 1950s, if you could believe that.
And people still do that now. I've heard people do the cabbage soup diet.
Yes. Yeah. And I will say, we'll talk further about this, but these types of restrictive diets, they do work to lose weight in the short term. Mm-hmm. But that's the key, is that it's short term. It's not a permanent weight loss, and they're not a type of diet typically that can be sustained over years. So whenever folks go back to their regular eating habits, they'll regain the weight and often then some. And so it's just not healthy. There was a Beverly Hills diet that came out in 1981 where only fruit was eaten for 10 days, and it was in a very particular order. And Wendy, you and I had mentioned this kind of before the show, but, I think it's our human nature to look for sort of that magic formula of, healthy eating and exercise. And we think there's got to be that special, product out there, or that special diet. Over the years, there was a blood type diet. There's all kinds of different things. And not to say that none of those things work, but generally, it's basic sort of healthy eating and regular activity that help us, but our minds want to go for, what's that magical formula? What can I try now? And this will surely be the one that's gonna help me. So I'll just mention just a few other. Of course, the Atkins diet, that was one of the earlier low carb diet that was in about 1994. There was a juice, fast, and detox diet around 1999, a raw foods diet in 2000. The maple syrup diet was also called the Master Cleanse in 2006. I actually have my sister does this, and she actually does it as a cleanse. She doesn't do it to lose weight, but it's about 3 days of drinking liquids, and so some people use it to cleanse the digestive tract, and other people do use it for weight loss.
I was gonna say, where does the maple syrup come in?
It does have some maple syrup in it for energy. It's a common. Okay. It has like lemon juice and water, maple syrup. I believe it has a little bit of Tabasco in it. It's a very unique combination of liquid that you're consuming, but it does have maple syrup to, because our body runs on sugar, so you need some calories even when you're just drinking liquids. So I never really understood the baby food diet. That was in 2010. I don't know the appeal of that, but I guess it helped people, eat small portions, because you're not going to want to eat, great big amounts of baby food, but on and on. So it's been, many years, and we're continuing to see diet plans that, come and go.
Right. Wow. But I do, when you were talking about the vinegar and water, now I do hear people talking about the apple cider vinegar, adding that to water or to a drink or something to help burn calories. And also I've heard people say that and some people I know believe in it, that it helps maintain blood pressure.
Right.
So I know that's a whole another level, but
Yeah, and one thing, honestly, that's tricky with nutrition and medicine in general is that all of our bodies are so different physiologically. I mean, we have the same basic makeup as humans, but our bodies respond differently to different products. So, as a dietitian, nutritionist, and folks in the medical industry, at least in our society, our more westernized society, we look at research and clinical trials, and if they test 1,000 people with a certain thing, what percentage of those people, respond, what gets the desired effect. And so certain things like apple cider vinegar, I've researched that. And, some studies show, okay, well, it has these benefits in certain people, and then other studies show that it doesn't. And so there's so much variability. So with that type of thing, I think it's important to address that, but I always look at if the thing you're taking, is it in any way harmful? Generally, apple cider vinegar is not going to be. I mean, always check with your doctor, but if you're taking a tablespoon or a couple tablespoons a day, and then, what's the potential benefit? So it's the same with like cinnamon for blood sugars. Cinnamon has been shown to help lower blood sugar, but not in everybody. So it doesn't have that consistent data in the clinical trials, but some people it really does have a big effect. And I've met folks, that it has an effect, but then others it doesn't. So you kind of have to look at your individual health and say, could this be beneficial for me? And also making sure that it's not in any way unsafe or detrimental to take that particular, supplement.
Absolutely. And glad that you interjected that piece, not just only with fad diets, but any type of diet that you're looking to start or have started, that you want to make sure that you're talking to your primary care provider before you start it, because you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, it doesn't conflict with your medicines that you're taking, if you're taking any. And as you said, that it's going to be healthy for you.
Yep, exactly.
You're going to weigh out, is it healthier to lose 20 pounds really quickly and then end up causing something else to be detrimental to your health? Yeah. And then that's not, the balance is not there. Well, tell us, Angie, how can we spot a fad diet? I know you listed some. So now we're looking at what's going to be the best diet plan for me or for us in general. What would you look for to be able to spot what we call a fad diet?
Yeah. I often tell my clients, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, just take this one. Oh, lately on my little game on my phone, the latest thing is gummies, the Oprah, gummies. And it says, just take one gummy a day. And, they show all these pictures before and after people losing, just dropping the weight. The weight's just melting off. And, in my mind, I say, that would be wonderful. And it's tempting, even for me.
It doesn't make you want to go out and find that gummy. I know it.
Yeah, but I know there is no way that just by taking one gummy a day and not changing anything else, I'm going to lose that amount of weight,
Right.
There are things that can aid, our, like helping to reduce appetite so we eat less and that type of thing. But it's never that kind of quick and easy. So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Fad diets tend to restrict certain foods or certain groups of foods. So like a very low carb diet or, the cabbage soup diet or grapefruit diet, those types of things. Sometimes you have to purchase specific foods. So there are some plans where, you have to only buy the foods that are sold in that particular diet plan, and that can get pricey. It doesn't necessarily, fad diets don't necessarily encourage or talk about physical activity, but we know physical activity is a necessary part of, long-term weight loss and maintaining that weight loss. And like I said, they typically promise a really quick weight loss and a significant amount. So the ideal rate of weight loss is between 1/2 and 2 pounds per week. So, if we're saying, so we see this, lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks. So a reasonable, a medically safe, clinically safe weight loss in 2 weeks would be anywhere from 1 pound to 4 pounds, between that 1/2 and 2 pounds in 1 week. So that would translate to 1 to 4 pounds in 2 weeks. Or if you extend that out, 2 to 8 pounds in a month. I had to think about it for a second. But
go ahead. Finish. Go ahead. Finish.
No.
I ask you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so, if you're looking at, I want to lose 20 pounds in a month, that's excessive. That's not going to be healthy for your body. And what happens when we lose that much physically, we don't just lose fat. We're losing some of the water from our body, but we also end up losing some lean tissue. So like our muscles, that breaks down some of the muscle mass, and you can't get that back. If you regain the weight and you're not exercising, not weight training, that weight's going to come back on as fat, whereas previously it was muscle. And muscle is our friend. Muscle burns calories even when it's sitting still. So muscle burns calories at rest, and fat does not. So muscle helps that metabolism, that magic M word. Metabolism really is a thing, and it does help us in our weight journey.
I'm glad you said that, because some people do feel that, if I shed, 10 pounds, and you got to think about the fact that that's some of your muscle if it's that fast. So, and that's what keeps us going and keeps our bones together, keeps our ligaments together. So we need that muscle.
Exactly.
And you mentioned earlier about the 2 to 3 pounds, 1.5 to 2 pounds a week. Now, what about the fluid part of that? How much of that is water? So do I get excited that first week I've lost 2 pounds?
Right. So it that varies. If you're losing, it's possible that you could lose 2 pounds in a week and it be all fat. There's not really a way for us to measure that. But typically, if you're losing amounts above that, that's sort of where they came up with those guidelines for those numbers. Above that, there's a good chance that you're losing water weight and or lean tissue weight. You're not just losing fat anymore. It's like your body has a capacity to only burn so much fat in a given period of time. Yeah. So lots of times, we're losing what we call water weight, or like I said, that lean muscle mass.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. So why fad diets work or don't work?
Yeah. So like I said, typically they work in the short term. So, it's tempting for me to say they just don't work, don't do them, and then somebody posts on Facebook, I'm doing keto and I lost 50 pounds, and they really have lost 50 pounds.
Right.
And some people can keep that weight off for a month, 2 months, 6 months, even a couple of years sometimes. But through the course of my career and working with people with weight management, typically what we see is at some point, those restrictive diets, people cannot continue to follow them for the rest of their life. So at some point, they'll go back to their old eating habits and then regain the weight. And like I said, usually we regain and then gain a little bit more. So if you started at 190 pounds and lost down to 140, when you gain your weight back, you might not just stop at 190, you might creep up to 195 or 200. And that's an example of something that phenomenon they call yo-yo dieting. So a lot of folks, with weight issues have tried many different diet plans over the years. And it makes sense because we know that extra weight is not good for our health. And so it is good to take charge and say, okay, I'm going to try to, lose some of this extra weight. But what we've learned is that these extreme, kind of fad diets contribute to that yo-yo dieting. So we start a new diet plan. This is the new one this year for 2023. It's going to be, XYZ. And I lose a bunch of weight over however many months. But then later, I go off that plan and that weight slowly creeps back on. And then, the next year or 2 years from now, I do the same thing. So that up and down is actually found to be worse for our health than if we just kept extra pounds on. So we know that I'm not saying that, if you're overweight or obese, just don't worry about it. Don't even try to lose weight. Right. It's still important to try. The latest research shows us that if you can lose between 5 and 10% of your body weight, that's going to significantly help your blood sugars, blood pressure, cholesterol, help with sleep, lower risk for cancer, all those risk factors that weight contributes to. So for those who aren't math people, and it's the afternoon, my brain slows down a little in the afternoon, but to give an example, if I weigh 200 pounds, that 5 to 10% would be between 10 and 20 pounds that I would aim to lose, total. And I would do that slowly. Maybe my goal is to lose a half a pound a week. So to lose 10 pounds, it's going to take me 20 weeks, which would be about 5 months. So we're looking for the tortoise, not the hare. I
That's
always, when
right.
I would run my half marathons, I think about, the tortoise, like
The race
slow
is
and
not
steady
given to
wins
the
the race.
swift, but the one that endures. And I
Yes.
know consistency it's
Yes.
the big piece.
Yep.
Consistency, being consistent with whatever you start or whatever your plan is being able to be consistent.
Yep.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. So,
Okay, so let's talk a little about, we've talked about fad diets, and I'm glad that you put that piece in there about the fact that we're not telling you not to try to do something
right.
to improve your health and improve your weight. We want you to do it, but we just want you to do it healthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And being wise about it and
Right.
being realistic, and I hear a lot of clients, they tell me, I just don't have willpower. I just don't have willpower. Most of us don't have the willpower to follow these types of plans that I've just been talking about. It's not possible for most of us as humans, the way our brains are wired, or the psychology, the appetite, things like that. And so don't feel that you're weak or don't have willpower or can't do it. They're not set up for long-term success. And so we want to rethink that whole eating plan.
Right. We want to make sure we're doing it the right way. And so what does work? Just talk a little bit about that. And then I want to jump really quickly into making smart goals. How are we going to if we're going to do it, let's do it right and have some good outcomes.
Yep. So what does work is really focusing on the foods that are healthful for our body, that provide the vitamins and minerals and the, appropriate protein and healthy carbohydrates. A lot of those come from our basic food groups. There's been different, I'll say plate representations throughout the year that the FDA has promoted for good, healthy eating. And the most current one is My Plate. And that really focuses on half the plate being fruit and vegetables. I always say, if you have diabetes, limit the fruit and make half that plate all vegetables. And then the rest of it, the other quarter of the plate is a protein food and your other quarter is a starch. So trying to limit a lot of these processed foods. Let's get back to the basics of our food groups, our dairy products, our vegetables, meat, the healthy grains, things like beans and legumes and nuts and seeds. So also what works is small, steady changes. So in reality, a lot of us do eat, I'll say, processed foods, quick and easy foods, either for meals or we snack on things that are, come in a package. And so it's slowly, identifying that, okay, that's kind of a trouble area for me. And how can I decrease that? Maybe you're drinking 2 cans of soda every day. And you do drink water, but you still have that soda, and you say, I know it'd be best for my health to cut back on that soda. Some people can go cold turkey, and if that works, that's wonderful. But if you don't feel like you can do that, then starting small and saying, you know what, instead of 2 cans a day, I'm going to cut back to 1 can a day and do that for several weeks. And then when you're ready, decrease it even more.
Good. That's good. That's good. And what about portions?
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to mention that.
Okay.
Portion size is key, because even if you consume foods that are a little bit higher in calories, a little bit less healthful, as long as you have a small portion, that's not going to be, I'll say, detrimental to your overall, weight management plan. So for foods that are, higher in fat, higher in calories, limiting our portions. And then identifying foods that, okay, what can I fill up on, that's low in calories that I can have a big portion of. So back to our vegetables, what I call non-starchy vegetables, things like salad, or eating, cooked vegetables like string beans, or collards, turnip greens, squash, zucchini, onions, peppers, tomato, cucumber, that type of thing. I will say real quick, I know we have to watch our time, but this time of year when the weather's cold, it's a great time for soups. So like a homemade soup, and soups really aren't that tedious. It's easy for us to buy soup, but it's really easy to make your own soup too. Just start with a base. You can even buy a lower sodium like chicken stock or vegetable stock, and just add a bunch of those vegetables to it, like some of the ones I just named. And you can add some lean meat in there too. That would be fine, ground turkey or ground beef or some chicken. But those vegetables give us so many good nutrients. They're low in calories, and the broth of the soup helps fill us up too. And so soup is actually an enjoyable and a a good way to get vegetables and to be satisfied, where we feel like we're cutting out calories, but we're not getting hungry all the time.
Right. Still, you got to watch those portions.
Yes,
Because soup
you
you
do.
can eat is especially a good vegetable soup.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So that we won't run out of time,
Hmm.
just to give us a SMART goal. Just really tell us what SMART goals are,
Yep.
and just tell us what they are, because we're down to just 2 minutes.
Okay. So SMART goals, really quick. SMART is an acronym, and it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So a lot of folks come to me and they say, my goal is to lose weight. And I said, that's great, but that's not really a plan. A SMART goal helps you to have a plan. So you want to be specific. Okay, I'm going to cut back on my portions to lose weight. Measurable. Okay, how much are you going to cut back by? Or I'm going to fill half my plate with portions. Is it achievable? Is it attainable? You might say, okay, if I get extra hungry, I'll fill up on water. Realistic. Can you follow that? Does it fit in with your family's eating plan, etc.? And then the timely or time-bound portion is, I'm going to do this by X amount of time. So maybe, by the end of January, I'm going to decrease my portions. I'm going to measure that by having half my plate filled with, vegetables. And I'm going to do that at least 4 of the 7 days of the week. So very specific, have a plan, something that you can track, something that you can measure. And then the result will be weight loss. So your overall goal is weight loss, but the SMART goal helps you get down to the nitty gritty and have an actual plan in place for how you're going to allow your body to lose that weight.
And then with having a goal, you have an opportunity to celebrate the little accomplished, because if you just say weight loss, or I'm going to lose 20 pounds, but if you don't set a plan or the SMART goals to get to there, you won't. Waiting to lose 20 pounds can be a long time. So
Exactly.
those 1 to 2 pounds that you lose, or when you accomplish something with your SMART goal, you need to celebrate. And I think so often we don't celebrate things. So we need to celebrate those little accomplishments.
Yes, for sure. And just to tag on that real quick, sometimes even we do all the right things and our weight doesn't want to move. You may make these changes and you may get on the scale week after week and it's not budging. So look for other ways to measure success. What's your energy level? How do you feel? Do you feel less full and bloated after eating? Do you have more energy throughout your day? Are you less sleepy after meals than you used to be? Just kind of thinking about some of the other benefits of making those changes toward healthier eating.
Great, Angie. Thank you so much for that, helping us start our new year off. Again, Angie, thank you for being here. I'm your host, Wendy Bridgers. We are here every Thursday from 3 to 3:30 on Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM. Family Health Matters. So join us again on Awesome Radio 106.9. Family Health Matters every Thursday from 3 to 3:30.